The galaxy was full of stories about the hunters. Some called them shadows. Some called them ghosts. Every species had a different name for them, but the meaning was always the same: death. They moved from one world to another, silent and fast, leaving only ruins behind. No one had ever stopped them. No one had ever survived to tell their secrets. Until now, Earth had never seen them. Humans were busy with their own lives, building cities, exploring planets, dreaming about the stars. They believed the galaxy was quiet. They believed the stars were empty. They were wrong. Far away, in the dark edge of the galaxy, the hunters had chosen their next prey: Earth. Their leaders studied humans like they studied animals. They saw their wars, their technology, their courage, and their weakness. To them, humans were nothing more than another trophy. They had hunted stronger creatures before. They had destroyed larger empires before. Humans were only a new name on their endless list. One by one, human colonies in the outer rim began to go silent. A mining station near Proxima Centauri stopped sending messages. A research base on Kepler 442b went dark. At first, Earth thought it was a simple signal problem. Maybe a star flare. Maybe an accident. But then the rescue ships also vanished. No wreckage. No survivors. Only silence. Inside Earth's command centers, fear started to grow. The leaders watched the missing colonies on their maps, like lights going out one after another. "Something is coming," one general whispered. But no one wanted to say it out loud. No one wanted to believe that a new enemy was already inside their space. Meanwhile, in the cold dark beyond Neptune, strange shapes moved. Hunter ships, long, black, and silent, slid between the shadows of frozen moons. They did not rush. They never rushed. Hunting was not war to them. It was a game. A ritual. First, they watched their prey. They studied their patterns. They learned how they ran. Only when the prey was sure they were safe did the hunters strike. On Earth, people lived their normal lives. Children went to school. Families planned vacations. Scientists talked about sending a new crew to the edge of the solar system. No one knew that death was already knocking. Only a few officers in the Deep Space Command had seen the strange signals, the broken transmissions, the sudden silences. They sent a scout ship, the Horizon, to investigate the outer colonies. It never returned. Only a half-broken message came back: "They are coming." The message cut off with a scream. The hunters listened to that scream. They kept it as a memory, a song of the hunt. To them, fear was part of the kill. It made the final strike sweeter. Weeks passed. Earth began to feel the tension in the air, like the calm before a storm. Spaceports were suddenly closed without reason. Military ships quietly moved toward the outer planets. Rumors spread on the networks: alien raiders, secret wars, vanished fleets. But the governments said nothing. They wanted time. They wanted to know what they were facing. They wanted to believe they still had a chance. One cold night, in the dark of space near Pluto, the hunters gathered. Dozens of ships, their hulls black like night, their engines silent as stone. Each ship carried weapons older than Earth's oldest history. Each one was built to hunt, not to fight battles. They did not conquer planets. They erased them. Their leader, a creature taller than any human and covered with bone-like armor, stood before the stars and spoke in his ancient tongue. "This world," he said, pointing at the blue dot far away, "is our next trophy. Hunt them slowly. Break their hope. Leave no voice alive." The hunt had begun. On Earth, the stars looked peaceful that night. Lovers watched the moon. Children wished on shooting stars. Astronomers stared at distant galaxies through their telescopes. No one knew that the same stars were hiding death. No one knew that in a few weeks, the silence would reach them too. But something else was moving in the darkness. Far beneath Earth's oceans, deep inside hidden bases, a few humans had already guessed the truth. They had seen this pattern before in old alien warnings, in ancient signals ignored by most. They knew this was not a simple attack. This was an extermination. They sent a coded message to the top leaders: prepare the defense. The hunters are real. The message was short. But it was too late. The hunters were already here. The Horizon's last broken message played again and again in the dark room of Earth's Defense Command. The room was silent except for those 3 broken words. They are coming. The faces of the commanders were pale. They had seen war before. They had faced rebellions, pirates, even alien smugglers. But this was different. This was unknown. No enemy name. No demand. No warning. Only silence and vanishing colonies. The leaders of Earth gathered in a secret meeting under the city of Geneva. Generals, scientists, and heads of nations sat around a long black table. Satellite images and star maps floated in the air. "We must know what we are dealing with," said Admiral Rhea Kane, her voice sharp but controlled. "Sending more scout ships will only add to the list of missing crews," answered Director Malik from the intelligence wing. "Then what do you suggest?" "Wait until they knock on our door." Rhea's eyes burned. "No," Malik said slowly. "We prepare. Quietly. If they do not see our strength, maybe we still have time." Time was something they did not have. In the outer system, near the gas giant Saturn, strange signals appeared. Faint, like a heartbeat in the void. Civilian ships reported seeing black shadows passing across the stars. Some thought it was a trick of light. Some thought it was a ghost. But a freighter captain swore he saw something more. "It had no lights," he told the port officers, "but it was watching us. Just watching." Earth tried to keep the truth hidden. The media reported nothing. Spaceports were told to close for maintenance. Families of the missing crews received empty words: technical failures, unexpected storms. But rumors grew faster than silence. In bars near the space docks, in the lower decks of the colonies, people whispered about hunters, about creatures from the dark that take without asking. A decision was made. Earth would send a message of peace. A diplomatic probe was prepared with lights, greetings, and universal codes of communication. It carried no weapons. It carried only a hope that whoever was out there wanted to talk. The probe left Earth and moved past Mars, past the asteroid belt, into the cold dark where the signals had come from. The hunters watched it. Hidden behind the shadow of a dead moon, their ships floated like blades waiting for flesh. They saw the human probe. They read its message. They laughed. To them, peace was a weakness. Words were only the last breath before the kill. They did not answer. A week later, the probe stopped sending data. Its signal vanished like all the others. On Earth, panic grew among the leaders, but they kept their faces calm for the public. Factories worked in secret. Old warships were pulled from their docks. New weapons, never tested in real battle, were moved into orbit. The world was preparing for a war it had never fought before. Meanwhile, the hunters began their first move. A single scout ship entered the orbit of Callisto, one of Jupiter's moons. It did not land with noise. It came like a shadow, silent and cold. It released small drones, like insects, that crawled across the moon's frozen surface. They were not here to attack. They were here to map, to listen, to smell fear. A research station on Callisto detected a strange noise that night, a whisper in the ice. Technician Sora Patel checked her instruments twice. "That's no rock," she said. "That's something alive." She sent a report to Earth. No reply came back. Hours later, the station went dark. The hunters marked their first trail. Back on Earth, Admiral Kane stood before a room full of officers. "We are running out of time," she said. "Every hour we wait, we lose more ground." A young commander asked, "Should we tell the people? They deserve to know." Kane shook her head. "If we tell them now, we will have chaos before we even see the enemy. We need a plan. A trap. A line they cannot cross. But the hunters were not planning to cross a line. They were already inside it. Late at night, on the dark side of the moon, an old defense satellite caught a glimpse of something moving fast toward Earth. It was not a meteor. It was not a ship they could identify. It was gone in seconds, leaving only a faint trace of heat. The operators stared at the screen. "Should we report this?" one asked. "No," said the other, his voice shaking. "Not until we are sure." By the time they were sure, it would be too late. The hunter's leader watched the blue planet from his hidden command ship. His claws tapped against the armrest of his chair. "They are curious," he murmured to his second in command. "They send gifts instead of blades. They send greetings instead of guns. They do not understand the hunt." His second nodded. "They will understand soon." The leader's eyes narrowed. "Not yet. Let them hope a little longer. Fear tastes better when it grows." The silent hunt was over. The real game was about to begin. The first strike did not come like thunder. It came like a whisper. In the cold shadow of Saturn's rings, a listening post stopped sending data. Its last transmission was a sudden static scream, then nothing. No explosion was seen, no distress call followed. Only silence. Hours later, a fuel station near Titan went dark. Its lights faded, its crew vanished. The frozen moon spun quietly, as if nothing had happened. On Earth, the signals arrived too late. By the time the Defense Command received the missing reports, the hunters were already moving deeper. They did not leave wreckage. They did not leave survivors. Every station they touched turned quiet, like a room where the air had been stolen. The generals in Geneva stared at the empty points on the star map. "They are cutting our eyes and ears," Admiral Kane said in a low voice. "One by one, they are blinding us." Panic began to grow behind closed doors. The Council wanted to raise shields around Earth, to pull all fleets back, to hide. But others disagreed. "If we pull back now," said Malik from Intelligence, "they will take the outer system without a fight. And then they will come for us." Kane nodded. "We cannot fight them blind. We need to know how they kill." But the hunters left no bodies to study. They used weapons Earth had never seen. Some were beams that turned steel into dust. Some were waves that burned circuits without light or sound. And some were things no sensor could catch, only shadows passing through walls, only echoes in empty halls. The people of Earth still lived their normal days. They drank coffee, they worked in their offices, they sent their children to school. The news spoke of politics, of sports, of the weather. No one spoke of the vanishing posts near Saturn. The governments kept their secret. Fear was more dangerous than any fleet. Then the hunters sent their message. It was not a voice. It was not even words. It was an image, sent across every open channel, broadcast into every corner of the solar system. A row of broken helmets, human helmets, hanging like skulls on black spears. Below them, a single sentence written in their harsh alien language and translated by the machines. "The hunt begins." The image lasted 3 seconds. Then it vanished. But 3 seconds were enough. Panic broke through the silence. Rumors turned into screams. Markets fell. Colonists begged for rescue. And still, the hunters kept coming. Near Europa, a small fleet of patrol ships tried to hold the line. They saw the first hunter scouts, long black ships with sharp edges, moving without sound. Captain Ilya Hart ordered his crew to lock weapons. "Fire if they cross the line," he said. But the hunters did not fire first. They moved like shadows, spreading thin across the dark, until the patrol ships were surrounded. The battle lasted less than 5 minutes. When Earth received the last transmission, it was only static mixed with a broken voice. "We are," then silence. The hunters did not celebrate. To them, this was not war. This was ritual. They marked each destroyed ship as a notch on their code of honor. They did not want surrender. They wanted fear to spread, like a poison in the blood of a beast before the final cut. Earth called an emergency war council. "We are losing too fast," Kane said. "We cannot defend every rock in space." Malik leaned forward. "Then stop defending everything. Make them come where we want them." The council argued through the night. Some wanted peace, even after the message of death. Some wanted to open every weapon Earth had, even the ones forbidden by old treaties. But while they argued, the hunters moved again. A secret cargo convoy leaving Mars was torn apart in seconds. No survivors. Only debris drifting among the red dust. A science lab near Ganymede turned into ashes. The hunters took nothing. They only left silence behind. People began to notice the missing stars. Ships that promised to return never did. Messages sent to loved ones on far colonies came back with errors. Families started to whisper in fear. "Something is happening out there," they said. "Something is killing our sky." And still, Earth said nothing. The hunter's leader watched from the edge of the system, his claws resting on the map of human space. "They are running," he said. His second asked, "Shall we strike their heart?" The leader shook his head slowly. "Not yet. A cornered beast fights hardest. We break their edges, their hands, their breath. Then we take the heart." Far below, in the oceans of Earth, the secret defense program activated its hidden eyes. Drones left their shelters. Silent probes followed the hunters' trails. Somewhere, in a forgotten base under Antarctica, engineers worked on something new. A weapon not yet tested. A hope not yet born. But hope is a fragile thing when silence keeps growing. And the silence was now everywhere. The hunters believed they were invisible. They believed humans were only prey running in the dark. But Earth was not as blind as they thought. Every silence, every lost ship, every broken signal was a map. Deep under the oceans, in bunkers beneath ice and stone, Earth's Defense Command drew that map with steady hands. They saw the path the hunters took. They saw the places they avoided. And in those shadows, they found a chance. Admiral Rhea Kane stood in the war room, the lights dim around her, the star map glowing in blue and red. "They think we are afraid," she said. "Good. Let them think that. Fear is the bait." Around her, commanders from every nation leaned closer. "Operation Iron Net," Kane continued, "begins now." Iron Net was not a wall. It was a web of traps. Decoy stations were built near Saturn and Uranus. Fake fuel stations, fake mining posts, fake signals that cried for help. Behind each one waited something the hunters did not expect, Earth's new weapons, hidden in silence. These weapons were the product of desperation. Rail cannons that could punch holes through a moon. Drones that could blind ships without firing a shot. And one secret warship, a black spear with no name, designed to strike and vanish before the enemy could breathe. The people of Earth still did not know. They woke up, they worked, they argued about politics, they planned their futures, while in the outer dark, their fate was being written. Rumors continued to flow, but no official words came. The hunters kept hunting. The humans kept pretending. Then, a signal appeared near Saturn. A hunter scout ship entered the decoy zone, silent as always. It saw the fake mining post, cold and quiet, just waiting. The hunters moved closer, their black hulls gliding over the rings. They sent drones to sniff the area. No resistance. No defense. Easy prey. That was the moment Kane was waiting for. "Activate the net," she ordered. Suddenly, the silence broke. From the shadows of the rings, massive rail cannons unfolded like claws. Magnetic fields screamed to life. A rain of metal slugs, faster than sound, tore through the first hunter ship before it even knew it was being watched. Its black armor cracked. Its engines exploded into shards of fire. Drones swarmed the others, cutting their sensors, blinding their eyes. For the first time, the hunters felt something new, surprise. One of their ships tried to escape, sliding toward the dark side of the moon Mimas. But the black warship appeared, its hull reflecting no light. It fired once. The hunter ship split apart, spilling burning fragments into the cold void. The battle lasted 7 minutes. When it was over, 3 hunter ships were gone. 2 more drifted, broken and silent, their crews never found. The rest fled into the deep black, leaving trails of heat and anger behind them. Earth did not celebrate. Not yet. Kane looked at the wreckage reports with a hard face. "This is only the beginning," she said. "We cut their claw. They will come with teeth next." Malik from intelligence agreed. "They will not forget this. They will return with more. Much more." The hunter's leader received the news in his command ship. His claws dug into the metal floor, leaving deep scars. "Prey does not bite," he hissed. "Prey does not set traps." His second waited silently. The leader turned his eyes toward the blue planet in the far distance. "They think this is victory. They think this is hope. Show them what real fear is." The next phase of the hunt had begun. Back on Earth, Kane met with her inner circle. "We bought time," she said. "A week, maybe 2. Enough to finish Project Dawn." One young officer asked, "What is Project Dawn?" Kane looked at him, her voice cold. "The weapon that ends this. Or ends us." Project Dawn was not ready. It was a weapon of last chance, built with alien fragments from past encounters, something half understood, half feared. If it worked, it could burn a fleet in seconds. If it failed, it could burn the solar system with it. Meanwhile, the people of Earth began to notice small changes. Patrol ships moved in the skies. Old factories started working day and night. Spaceports closed without reason. Questions filled the networks. Answers never came. The hunters licked their wounds and prepared for the next strike. They no longer moved slowly. Now, they wanted revenge. Their pride was cut, and a wounded predator is more dangerous than a hungry one. In the cold dark near Neptune, their larger ships gathered. Black, silent, sharp. Dozens of them. They would not send scouts next time. They would send war. And Earth waited. The trap had worked, but it had also woken something far worse. The hunters did not hide anymore. Their pride was wounded, and their silence turned to rage. From the edge of the solar system, their fleet arrived like a moving shadow. Dozens of black ships slid between the planets, their engines cold, their weapons alive. They did not scout this time. They came to crush. The trap near Saturn had humiliated them, and now they wanted to show humans what a real hunt looked like when the predators stopped playing. Earth's Defense Command saw the incoming signatures days before they arrived. Every screen in the war room glowed red with warnings. Admiral Kane stood in front of the map, her jaw tight. "This is it," she said. "This is the storm." Around her, commanders spoke in low voices, calculating fuel, counting ships, checking weapons. Malik leaned close to her. "Project Dawn is not ready," he said. "If they break our lines now, we cannot stop them." Kane looked at him with steel in her eyes. "Then we don't let them break our lines." The first clash happened near Uranus. A small fleet of human cruisers stood in the hunter's path. Their orders were clear: slow them down, no matter the cost. The space was empty, the silence deep, until the hunters came like a wave of black knives. The battle was short and violent. Human ships fired rail slugs and missiles, tearing through the front ranks of the hunters. But the hunters were fast, too fast, and their return fire was merciless. Explosions lit the dark like dying stars. When the fight ended, half the human fleet was gone, but they had bought what they needed: time. That time allowed Earth to bring its hidden weapons forward. Drones swarmed from the moons of Jupiter, creating false signals, false fleets. Old satellites turned into bombs, waiting for a passing shadow. Civilian ships were evacuated from the inner planets. The solar system became a maze of traps, each one designed to bleed the hunters without them realizing how deep they were being pulled. For the first time, humans began to strike back not with power, but with strategy. They hacked the hunters' communication, feeding them false coordinates. One hunter squadron was lured into the upper storms of Jupiter, where the pressure crushed their hulls like paper. Another was led into an asteroid field rigged with explosives, where rocks became weapons and silence became fire. The hunters started to slow. Their numbers were still greater, their technology older and crueler, but the prey was no longer running blind. The prey was thinking, biting, fighting. In the dark halls of the hunters' flagship, their leader stared at the map with cold fury. "They adapt," he growled. "Faster than the others we hunted." His second hissed softly. "Should we call for more ships?" The leader shook his head. "No. We finish this with what we have. If we ask for more, we admit they are a threat." On Earth, Kane watched the same map, her hands clasped behind her back. "They are bleeding," she whispered. "Not enough to stop them, but enough to make them angry." Malik stood beside her. "Angry hunters make mistakes. We need one big mistake." Kane nodded. "And when they make it, we close the jaws." In the shadows of deep space, the black warship moved silently. It had no name. It had no crew like normal ships, only ghosts of machines, only men and women who had signed their names knowing they might not return. Their mission was clear: get behind the hunter's fleet and strike where it hurts the most, their command corps. Meanwhile, the people of Earth finally began to see the truth. News could not hide the missing stations anymore. Sky screens showed burning moons, broken colonies, ships that never came home. Fear spread, but so did anger. For every family that cried, another swore revenge. The galaxy had always seen humans as weak, as new, as noisy children among the stars. But now the hunters had shown them what it meant to wake a cornered species. In a hidden chamber beneath the Pacific Ocean, Project Dawn neared completion. Scientists worked without sleep, connecting alien shards to human steel, building something that could turn one war into fire. Kane stood over the project's core, its glow cold and deadly. "If this works," she said softly, "the hunt ends. If it fails, we end with it." The hunters pushed forward, but their advance was no longer smooth. Each world they touched fought back. Each orbit they crossed cut a piece of their fleet away. They started as shadows. Now they were hunted by light. The tide was turning. Slowly, bloodily. But it was turning. And in the dark, both predator and prey prepared for the final storm. The hunters gathered their largest fleet. Black ships like blades filled the outer edges of the solar system, more than anyone had ever seen before. Their leader stood at the heart of the flagship, his claws resting on the map of human space. His eyes glowed cold. "No more games," he said. "We end this now." Around him, his captains bowed in silence. They had lost scouts, lost ships, and lost their pride. Now, they wanted to erase that shame with fire. Earth's Defense Command saw the swarm coming. It was like a wall of darkness stretching from Neptune to Jupiter. Every alarm in the war room screamed at once. Admiral Kane's voice cut through the noise. "Signal all fleets. This is the final wave." Her words were steady, but her hands gripped the table tight. Malik from intelligence leaned over the maps. "If they reach Mars, the inner planets are finished," he said. Kane nodded. "Then we hold them before Mars. At any cost." The first collisions happened near Ganymede. Human cruisers and drone swarms met the front lines of the hunters. Space turned red with fire trails and broken hulls. Hunters fought with ruthless speed, tearing through lines, cutting comms, burning stations. Human ships fought back with every trap they had. Mines hidden in ice fields, satellites turned into bombs, fake fleets luring hunter ships into gas storms. Each hour slowed them, but each hour cost lives. Civilians watched from a distance, their screens filled with warnings. Evacuations began from the moons of Mars. Orbital elevators carried thousands down to the planet's surface. Earth broadcasted emergency codes but not the whole truth. They still did not speak of Project Dawn, the weapon waiting deep below the Pacific Ocean. Project Dawn was loaded onto Earth's last great warship, the Aegis Dawn. Sleek, black, and armed with weapons never shown to the galaxy. It was the spear meant to end the hunt. Its mission was dangerous: enter the heart of the hunter's fleet, deliver the weapon, and escape if possible. If escape was not possible, detonate anyway. The crew of the Aegis Dawn knew what that meant. Captain Arden Locke stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the distant stars where the hunters burned their path closer. "We are the last line," he told his crew. "If we fail, Earth burns. If we succeed, they remember this night for the rest of their lives." His voice was calm. His hands were not. The hunters advanced past Jupiter. Their leader sent a message to Earth for the first time. It was a simple broadcast, no images this time, only a cold voice. "You fought well for prey. Now watch your world fall." Earth did not answer. The trap fields near Mars were activated. Massive rail cannons hidden on the moons Phobos and Deimos roared to life. Waves of drones filled the dark. Hunter ships fell, one after another, but more replaced them. The fleet was too large, too fast, too angry. Mars shook under the bombardment. Its red dust turned black with burning debris. Amid the chaos, the Aegis Dawn made its move. Hidden under the shadow of the planet's rings, it accelerated toward the center of the hunter fleet. Enemy scanners picked it up too late. 3 hunter cruisers turned to block it. The warship fired a single shot, an experimental railbeam that split one ship in half. The others fired back, tearing at its shields, but the Aegis Dawn did not slow. It cut through the chaos like a blade. Inside the hunter flagship, alarms screamed for the first time. The leader turned, his voice a low growl. "What is that ship?" His second looked at the data. "Human. Fast. Heading straight for us." The leader's claws tightened. "Let it come." The Aegis Dawn reached the center of the swarm. Its hull was cracked. Its engines bled fire. But it held. Captain Locke armed Project Dawn. A cold blue light filled the core of the ship. "Once we fire this," he said softly, "there is no going back." Earth's command listened in silence. Kane closed her eyes. Malik whispered, "God help them." The hunters closed in from every side. Black ships swarmed like a living storm. The crew of the Aegis Dawn braced for impact. And then the ship disappeared into the dark, vanishing behind a wall of hunter warships. The final hunt had truly begun. The hunters believed the humans would break. They had surrounded the Aegis Dawn, their black fleet closing like a fist. Inside the flagship, their leader watched the lone warship and felt victory close enough to taste. "End them," he ordered. "Show this galaxy that no prey survives the hunt." Hunter cannons turned toward the human ship. The dark became fire. But the Aegis Dawn did not run. Its shield screamed under the barrage, its hull shook, but it kept moving forward, cutting through the storm. Deep inside, Captain Arden Locke entered the final codes for Project Dawn. The weapon hummed with cold power, its light growing brighter in the heart of the ship. "This is for every station they silenced," Locke whispered. "For every family they left with only questions." On Earth, the war room fell silent as the signal from the Aegis Dawn came through. "We are in position," Locke's voice said. "Prepare for impact." Kane lowered her head. Malik clenched his fists. Around them, the screens showed the hunter fleet pressing closer to Mars, their numbers still overwhelming, their pride still unbroken. The weapon activated. A pulse of blue light spread from the Aegis Dawn like a heartbeat. At first, it looked harmless, a ripple across the void. Then the ripple grew, faster than light, sharper than any blade. Hunter ships nearest to the warship began to break apart without fire, metal turning to dust, armor peeling like old paint. The ripple spread wider, cutting through the heart of the fleet. The hunters screamed through broken channels. Their formation shattered. Ships collided as their systems failed. Cannons went silent. Engines died. The leader of the hunters gripped the edge of his command throne. "What is this?" he roared. His second stared at the readings. "A weapon we have never seen." The leader's claws dug deep into the floor. Destroy it. Now. But the Aegis dawn was already breaking. Its core burned too bright. Captain Locke sent his last message, for Earth. Then the warship exploded, the pulse growing one final time into a wave that split the void apart. When the light faded, half of the Hunter fleet was gone. The flagship's armor cracked, its bridge torn open to the cold. The leader stared into the distance where the human warship had been, his eyes filled with something he had never felt before: fear. On Mars, the skies cleared for the first time in days. Human fleets pushed forward, striking the broken Hunter ships with every weapon left. Drones swarmed like steel insects, rail cannons tore through fleeing cruisers, missiles chased the survivors into the dark. For the first time since the hunt began, the Hunters were not advancing. They were running. Earth did not celebrate yet. The cost was too high. Thousands of lives lost, colonies burned, moons turned to graveyards. But the tide had turned. The prey had bitten the predator, and the predator bled. In the war room, Kane stood tall. "Signal to all fleets," she said. "Push them out. Do not let them regroup." Malik nodded. "And if they call for peace?" Kane's eyes were cold. "Then they can start by leaving our sky." The Hunter's leader gathered what was left of his fleet. His voice was no longer calm. "We underestimated them," he admitted to his captains. "We thought them soft. We thought them easy. We were wrong." One captain asked, "Shall we return?" The leader looked at the distant blue planet, its light burning stronger than before. "We return," he said. "Not in defeat, but in warning. They are no longer prey. They are a rival." Earth watched the Hunters retreat, their black ships vanishing one by one into the void. The silence they left behind was heavy but different now. It was not the silence of fear. It was the silence after a storm, when the air is full of smoke and the ground is still warm. Across the planet, people looked at the stars with new eyes. They had survived the deadliest Hunters in the galaxy. They had fought back, and they had won, not with numbers, not with ancient power, but with will, with cunning, with sacrifice. In a dark room beneath the Pacific, the scientists of Project Dawn shut down their remaining systems. One of them whispered, "What if they come again?" Kane, standing beside him, answered without looking up. "Then they will remember this day. And they will not come as hunters. They will come as soldiers." The message was sent across the stars: humanity was no longer prey. Humanity was a flame in the dark, and the galaxy would not forget the burn. Far away, the Hunter's leader sat alone in his dark throne room. His claws tapped the metal, his mind already planning. "Next time," he whispered to the void, "we will not hunt them. We will fight them." And in the quiet heart of Earth, the people looked up at the night sky, knowing the war was over, for now.